Okay, so I was watching Shutter Island recently. Good movie, very good movie. Leonardo DiCaprio he is one of the best actors of all time. I would say the best actor, but we've got like Brad Pitt, and I really can't think of anybody else. Maybe Patrick Bateman. I don't even know his real name, Patrick Bateman, bro. But I was watching Shutter Island, and it was just amazing because I realized that transgender people are on Shutter Island 24/7. And no one's trying to help them out, unlike Leonardo DiCaprio in this movie, and everyone else around him. Nobody's trying to help out the trans people. So I'm going to be the one to help them out. I'm going to break them off Shutter Island, and we are going to just logically debug. We're going to reality test them, just like in the movie. They threw little pieces of reality as delusion over the course of the movie, until he finally broke down and he realized everything he believed was wrong about himself. He's not a sheriff, he's some prisoner on an island. So we're going to do the same with trans. Now, they say they identify as a woman. Okay, let's be as fair as possible with these people. As fair as possible. If they say they identify as a woman, what are they identifying as? That's not a gotcha question. That's not a Matt Walsh question. I'm genuinely curious. When you, point at what you're identifying as. If I say, I have currency in my hand, that is a human concept, right? They always say it's a human concept. They can't define it. If I say I have currency in my hand, that is a human concept. Currency does not occur in nature. Okay, currency does not occur in the atoms that create the world. Currency is a human concept. And yet, it's tied to physical reality. If I point to a water bottle and say this is currency, no, I would be wrong. Unless I'm in like a desert. If I point to a pile of shit and say this is currency, I would be wrong. But if I point to a coin and say this is currency, we would all agree that I'm correct about that. So, any identity you have, if I say I'm a Republican, I can point to a person wearing a MAGA hat, I can point to a person who votes this way, I can point to a person who says these things and acts this way, and say this is a Republican. So, and that's a human-made concept as well. So, even though it's a human-made concept, all human concepts can be tied to physical reality because we live in the physical world, okay? Even spiritual concepts can be tied to the physical reality if you really want to get deep with it, right? Can you point to a soul? Yes, because you can point to the actions of a soul. But let's just address that question, right? What is a woman? When they say identify as a woman, what are they? Now, I had to get the world's greatest liberal mind on this ChatGPT, okay? There's no one better. ChatGPT will just give you the ultra, steel man liberal point, and it will still be dog shit. It will still be trash. And you'll try to debunk it over and over and over again, and it'll just go in circles. So, this is the best ChatGPT could come up with. When I asked it very specifically, what are they saying when they say they identify as woman? When someone says identify as woman, they are identifying as a person who internally experiences themselves as fitting the social and the psychological role typically associated with females in their culture. Okay. So, somebody who acts like a female, a physical female. So you see how they still have to tie it to sex somehow, right? But they're trying to distance it. They're saying, no, they act like a female. Well, first of all, that's sexist. That's very sexist to assume that females always act a certain way, right? Even though I may agree, I'm sure these liberals wouldn't agree. And secondly, I'm going to give you an example of something very similar to this. Almost identical to this. We're just going to change a few words around. And you tell me how just absolutely illogical and bigoted this sounds, right? So I'm a white man, right? But if I were to come to you and say, I'm black, well, you would laugh at me, and then I would say you're a bigot, and you would say, well, you can't be black because you don't have black skin. But I say, no, that's where you're wrong. See, black skin is the physical part. That's the physical race. But then there's the racial identity inside of me. And so inside I feel like a black man. And then you ask me, well, if black has nothing to do with skin color, what are you saying you identify as? And then I said, well, a black person is any person who identifies socially with how typically black-colored skinned people act. Dude, I would get fucking beat up for saying that shit. I would literally get lynched by the liberal mob for saying a black person is anyone who just acts like how black-colored skinned people act. Right? But it's the exact same as saying a woman is anyone who socially acts as how a female acts. It's the exact same thing. So no, this argument of, we're going to separate, it's still going to be based on sex, but we're going to separate, you just act like a female, right? Well, that's stupid, because one, it's the same thing as black people don't act a certain way, right? And can you imagine, when the trans people say, well, I knew I was trans because I like to dress up in dresses and wear makeup and I was submissive. I'm like, bro, imagine if I said I knew I was black because I like to play with guns and sag my pants and say, yo, what's up, gangsta? Like, dude, you would literally get canceled in 0.5 picoseconds if you said that. So there is no definition these people can give as to what they're identifying as. There is none. Again, all concepts can be pointed to physical reality, so please point to me a woman in physical reality. It could be anything. It could be fucking anything. You can point to a cup, and we can talk about, is that a woman because X, Y, Z. But they won't point to anything. It's all internal. It's a woman is someone who acts like a female? According to who? If the definition of a word changes between all different groups, because women act one way in one country and one way in the next, there's not a real word. It's not really a word that means anything. If I call you a woman, how do you know I'm not calling you masculine? How do you know I'm not saying that you're the one that is dominant, because that's how they are in Russia or whatever? I don't know. The word has to have a concrete definition. Even for countries that have different, like, things like Russia is a different country than the United States, yes, but they are both countries. Like, the term country can describe them both definitionally. Right? Land masses of people under a shared identity and border and geographical location or whatever the definition of a country is. Right? So, like, you cannot just change. The definition doesn't change. There's no word where the definition just changes based on whoever's viewing it, because that's not a word. Right? It's like Matt Walsh said. If I said I saw a zipperdoodle on the street, and you think a zipperdoodle is like a chili pepper, and I think a zipperdoodle is a dog, then the word has no meaning. Well, how am I supposed to communicate with you when I say zipperdoodle and you're thinking about something completely different? So if they're going to hijack this word woman, which is what they're trying to do, they're trying to make it mean what they want it to mean, basically. Instead of what it actually means, was that, an adult human female. And then a girl would be a young human female, right? Girl and woman only exist to differentiate age, right? Just like man and boy only exist to differentiate age. If you're young, you're a boy. If you're old, you're a man. It has nothing to do with social norms. It literally, the only reason we came up with that word was because we had young males and old males, and we needed a way to categorize them. So basically after puberty. But look, that's my response. If you can come up with a definition in the comment section, that'd be good. Shutter Island was a pretty good movie. I hope we shuttered these people off the island, and hopefully they don't have to get, like, a lobotomy. Although, unlike Shutter Island, instead of, getting the lobotomy, they're getting, like, a penis lobotomy and taking pills to compensate.